I was asked the other day how to navigate a rut in a person's life, how to get out of a mundane kind of dredgy lifestyle. And I thought that was quite easy. I said, listen, your lifestyle, it's simple, change your lifestyle. But it's not that simple. Then I asked the question, what is it a job? Do you want to get out of the rut of a job? Because, I mean, if you've got a job, hold on to the job. You put your back into it. If you've got a toxic boss, how are you going to change? How are you going to adapt? The onus is on you to own your own stuff. You can't always be responsible for other people. I digress now. But the issue is, the question was, how do I get out of the rut? So let's have a look at three things here. The way to kind of stimulate your life in a sense, without drugs, which is, doing drugs, doing hard drugs, nah, you're going to get hurt. How do you stimulate your life naturally? Well, you can do it mentally, you can do it physically, and you can do it emotionally. Now, physically, you can go for a run. Mentally, you can do a new course. Register for if you're an electrician, register for a course in, I don't know, painting. Shake it up, change it up. I know they're silly examples, but the principle here is you've got to do something different. It's if you're going to do the same things every day and expect a different outcome, you know what that saying says? That's insanity. And then the other one is the emotional component. Now, this is where a lot of guys struggle. We guys are warriors. We soldiers. We providers. And I don't care whether you're a software developer, all the way to a Navy SEAL. Every single guy inherently has this protector spirit inside of him. And where it goes wrong is through, sometimes we'll struggle in our upbringing. We'll have either an abusive parent, and the majority of times is an abusive father or an absent father. So those are inherent issues which we're going to deal with as males, or which we face. And so from the emotional point of view, physically, we'll play football, we'll play rugby, physically we're capable. Mentally it's a little bit tougher because our schools are not set up to stimulate boys physically, therefore mentally they struggle. That's just my 5 cents. But if you get through school and you're a good sportsman and you've stimulated yourself physically in a sense and you grow, hopefully you'll find 1 or 2 subjects in life at school and you'll start honing in on your skill set, which will then hopefully guide you to do something that you are interested in. The emotional side is going to be a little bit more difficult. And if you haven't had a good emotional upbringing, you're going to struggle in your early teens, and in transitioning through all these hormonal changes that the young guys go through. you're going to then transition into young adulthood, and that emotional component is going to be severely lacking if you fall into that, the previous brackets that I described. But there's ways you can challenge it. There's ways you can change that. The first thing you want to do is change your mindset. And this I'm talking from the emotional aspect. So if you want to get out of the rut in your life, if you want to change, if you're not happy with who you are, if you're not comfortable with where you are or where you see yourself going, if you're on a dead-end road, or you're into some destructive behavior or doing some stupid stuff, and what's his name? Hawkeye was in the Hurt Locker. Can't remember what his name is. But the Hurt Locker was an interesting movie because this bomb disposal guy was only alive. He only felt alive when he was disposing of IEDs or bombs. When he came home into the normal family environment, suburbia, he just felt like his life was worth nothing. Anyway, go and watch The Hurt Locker. Good movie. So from an emotional point of view, what do you do? What do? You be intentional. Don't wait for reactionary strife and stress through relationships to come and always nail you on let's say you've struggled or you, let's say, stunted in your emotional growth. You're going to have to recognize that first. I can't tell you. But you're going to have to recognize that. You're going to have to own your own stuff. You're going to have to own that. You're going to have to be honest about that. In that, you be intentional. Read a book that will expose you to the elements of what healthy emotional behavior or attitudes are. And if you don't like reading, you're dyslexic, online courses. Udemy, if you don't want to spend the cash, lots of stuff on YouTube. But you need to be intentional, understand those emotional concepts, and get into it. And that's called EQ, emotional quotient, to get all sexy with the words there. But if you want to get out the rut, do something physical. Buy a second-hand surfboard, go for a wave. Buy a surf ski, go paddle in the water. Buy an old fishing rod, go fish. Train for the Ironman. Why not? The Ironman will test you mentally, physically, and emotionally. I did the Ironman. It took me an hour and a half to swim, just short of 7 hours on the bike. And that's when all the wheels came off, literally. I finished the cycle, and I'd never run a marathon in my life before, and I decided to do the marathon. Well, I had to run the marathon. And my legs just seized up. And the last 14 Ks, I don't know what it is in miles, but I was 16 hours into this flipping event and my legs just seized up. So physically I was finished. Mentally, I'd been in the army, I'd done my national service, I'd been in some hard times physically, so I knew that I could handle it mentally. So the physical and mental issue was okay. I knew I could kind of get through it. Emotionally, there's nothing that takes a man to the depths of his soul than when you're 16 hours into an ultra endurance event or an endurance event and your body's shutting down. Emotionally, you will look for any excuse to walk away. Your insecurities will come out like you cannot believe. You face your inner demons so raw that it'll take you to a place where you have to face a lot of your stuff. Do you have to do the Ironman to get out of your rut? No. That was an example of the three components put together in its extreme form. But I want to tell you this. You don't think you can do the Ironman? On my cycle, a guy came past me and I was irritated because he was making a noise. It sounded like a clank, 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 clank. This guy came past me at one leg. He had a prosthetic and he did the cycle. He swam with one leg. He did the run on a Paralympic or on a paraplegic wheelchair. Finished the Ironman. There was a blind guy who did it. Anyway, the point is, you want to get out of your rut. Look at those three components: physical, mental, emotional. Just a last thought on the mental side, mental stimulation, whether you want to do an online course or something like that. There are courses, and this also goes for the emotional component, there are courses that are better off in in-person environment than an online. You know, you can be very isolationist in your room doing the stuff, and that isolationist mentality is going to get you nowhere. You're going to maintain that rut because you might be experiencing these things in your head, and you might be fantasizing or living out your own dreams, but if you're not actually doing it or experiencing it with other people, then you're just living an imaginary life. So, you want to get out of your rut? Do something physical, go for a walk. Now, get up, get out of your room, go for a walk. If it's raining, put a damn raincoat on and get out there. You want to do something mental, stimulate you mentally? Read a book in psychology. What makes a person tick? Challenge your own thoughts on gender-based violence, things like that. Challenge yourself on what you're watching on YouTube. Who are these people that you're watching that are shaping your narrative? And emotionally, challenge that too. Push yourself. Have a deep conversation. Have a confrontation in a sense. Sorry, not a confrontation. Have a conflict resolving mentality when you get into an argument or conflict. That'll challenge you emotionally. Anyway, I've prattled on long enough. All right. Hope that does you good. Till next time.